You.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has arrived in Washington to meet Donald Trump. The two world leaders will discuss several crucial issues, including the recent U.S. tariffs import on Israel and the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Netanyahu is expected to ask Trump for a reprieve of 17% tariff set to be imposed on Israeli imports. The leaders will also talk about Iran and the growing threats from the region, as well as the war in Gaza. Upon arrival, Netanyahu met the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and the U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Back in Gaza, Israel has continued its airstrikes targeting multiple locations. One strike hit a tent housing journalists near Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, killing at least 2 people and injuring 7 others. Separate strikes on other parts of Gaza killed more than 50 people, with residents of 5 neighborhoods in Deir el-Balah being ordered to flee. This comes as Israel intensifies its military operations after a ceasefire collapse. Israel's military has said around 10 projectiles were fired from Gaza, prompting Netanyahu to order a strong response to the rocket fire. In the midst of the military escalation, French President Emmanuel Macron met with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in Cairo. Macron has urged for a ceasefire in Gaza and called for the lifting of the blockade on humanitarian aid to the region. El-Sisi also emphasized the vital need to re-establish the ceasefire. He also rejected any calls for the forcible transfer of Palestinians from their homeland. El-Sisi warned that lasting peace would remain out of reach as long as the Palestinian cause remains unresolved. Let's listen in to what Emmanuel Macron and El-Sisi had to say. Mark Sofer, former ambassador of Israel to India, with us on the broadcast, joining us from Tel Aviv. Mr. Sofer, thank you so much for speaking with Newsx World. I want to begin by understanding, in your assessment, why exactly are the peace talks not yielding the results everyone was hoping for?
Well, because I think, as again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Israeli government, which I don't support, but the reason that the peace talks aren't moving forward, or the ceasefire talks aren't moving forward, is frankly because we're not talking to civilized countries like India or Britain or France, but we're talking about a terrorist organization called Hamas, which is holding still 59 hostages for well over a year and a half now. So we're not talking about normalcy here. And it's very difficult to negotiate with hard and fast rabid terrorists, as you know, in India so well. So I think that's the main reason. All they need to do, Hamas, is to release the hostages, and we're back to possibility of moving forward between Israelis and Palestinians for a new future in the region. But as long as they're being held there in hundreds of meters underground, in dingy, dirty tunnels, and 30 or so dead bodies of Israeli civilians who were taken from their homes, we can't, nobody in Israel believes that we can actually bring an end to all of this.
Mr. Sofer, when Israel says that there is no future of Hamas in Gaza, what does that truly mean?
Well, it means, and I think, Israelis are very, very split on almost every issue. We're a democratic society, we're very open, and we're very, very split. But on one thing, there's a consensus since the 7th of October, and perhaps even well before it, and that is that Hamas cannot be in command either militarily or politically of any type of future in Gaza. The question arises, of course, who will be in charge instead of them? And here I think the Israeli government has to put its head together and think about what the day after, what will happen the next day after the war is over, what will replace Hamas. But it means that Hamas will not have any holding either militarily or politically in Gaza in the post-war arena. And now we have to discuss who will have it. And that really we haven't, the current Israeli government hasn't taken the bull by the horns, probably for internal political reasons.
But Mr. Sofer, at the same time, how exactly will Israel or other neighboring nations then ensure that organizations such as Hamas do not come up in the Gaza region? We've seen similar activities taking place in, for example, Afghanistan, where A democratically elected government was put in place. However, that failed ultimately at the hands of the Taliban.
Well, there's no 100% guarantee that a terrorist organization like Hamas will not retake things in a certain amount of years' time. But I think we have to start at least looking to the future, seeing how we can arrange something. We can't continue in the status quo as it is today of war, in sort of incessantly or infinite war. We have to. So there's no guarantee that something won't happen in the future. But I think through good governance, through interaction between Israelis and Palestinians, through economic prosperity, which hopefully can be given to the Palestinians by the international community, and I think we have to play our part as well in Israel, we can bring them to the situation whereby they won't want Hamas anymore, and that ideology will still exist. As you say, it exists still in Taliban, in Afghanistan, it exists in Iran, it exists in the more extremist of the Islamist, and I make the distinction between Islamic and Islamist, the Islamist extremists, and we can't guarantee that it'll disappear. But I think everybody has to make the effort that it will do. And there's a positive Arab world out there. Many countries are looking to the future who see Hamas as the enemy, not just Israel sees it. But I think the forward-looking Gulf states, Egypt, Morocco, Jordan, etc., look at Hamas as being a danger to them, and any Islamist extremist is. So to sit around and say we can't guarantee it, therefore let's not do anything, is not really a potential proposal.
Absolutely, Mr. Sofer. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsx World with your thoughts. Viewers, that's all that we have time for. We will continue to bring more news